thanks for joining us in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien, and I'd like to introduce and welcome Nick Albanese to Go Local Live. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is cool.
Yeah, this is awesome. So you have some exciting news. You've been doing the Last Sicilian since 2015, production in Rhode Island, but you have some exciting news to share.
Yeah, I started it in 15 at the end of the year at Theater 82 in Cranston, Rolfe Square. And it was just a little project that I wrote. It was all 50 minutes long, and I play all these characters about my family. And I started doing it all over different areas, and when I brought it to Westerly, to the Granite Theater, this producer produced like 20 Broadway shows. He's retired now, but he called me a few days later, and he says, you should get this show to New York.
Awesome.
And I thought about it, but then he really confirmed it for me. I said, wow, he's been around and he liked it, so maybe it is worthy to bring to New York. So I booked a theater in New York, and I'm going to be bringing it there this January.
So congratulations to you. That's amazing and exciting stuff. So tell us just a little bit about your background, because people probably have seen your show or seen the posters for your show if they haven't had a chance to catch you. But just tell us a little bit about your family and a little bit about how you decided to make this show happen, because the show really is just about you growing up and about your roots and about your family, right?
Yeah, basically, I was a theater major at CCRI, and I studied a lot of local theater, and then I started getting into film and TV, and ended up in the show Brotherhood. They filmed all that in Rhode Island. And I started doing stand-up comedy. I always wanted to do stand-up, and actually George Carlin, who inspired me in person, because I was a limo driver, and I ended up picking him up. And I hung out with him for like 8 hours.
Just driving around?
Yeah. No, we actually hung out at the P-PAC.
That's awesome.
For the whole time. And I always wanted to do stand-up, and I asked him, how do I get started? You know, and he just says, you write 5 minutes of material, and you go to every open mic night you can. And you'll know right away if you're good or if you're bad. So that's what I did. And that was in '04. And I just started doing stand-up. And that kind of took over my life. I've been even out to the West Coast. I performed in Arizona and San Diego. And so theater was kind of and film was kind of put to the side, because I really enjoyed doing the stand-up. And then I really wanted to get back into theater. So it was 2015, and I wrote these 3 one-act plays with a couple other friends, wrote some, and we ended up doing all 5 plays at the Theater 82. And it was June of 15. And at the same time, I started writing The Last Sicilian. And there's all these stories about, how Italy was formed and how the Italians came over, and just stories about growing up in Providence above my father's bakery. And it was all little stories. It wasn't complete yet. And then I ended up watching this documentary about the Sicilians coming to America. So I started researching that more, and I added a little more history to it.
Cool.
And that was it. I just wanted to kind of get back to my theater roots, and I said, what better way than something that's so personal? But it's funny, because it's a little drama, it's a little history, but it is still a lot of comedy. And I think the 10 years of doing stand-up really helped me, be able to be up there alone, playing my dad, playing my uncle, I play my mom, I play all these other characters. So it's really cool. That's how the show pretty much came to life.
That's so neat. And tell us how you were able to get this show to New York. I mean, you're still going to be performing here in Rhode Island.
Yeah, 5 more shows.
And then you're taking it to Off-Broadway, which is a great opportunity for you. Tell us how it came to be.
Well, I was working with Dave Black, and he started helping me and going through the scripts and changing and tweaking little things. And, he's been out of the game kind of so long that he lost a lot of his contacts. He knew a few people, but it was tough. It was we almost, the door opened, then it would shut. And then I decided, what, life's short, I gotta do this. And I decided, I'm gonna just produce it myself. And I started trying to contact some theaters out there. And this whole time, a good friend of mine, Armin Garrow, he's from Providence, but he's been in Sopranos and Departed, he was in Vinyl. And he came to my show about 2 or 3 times. He really loved the show. And he's at this theater, which is the 13th Street Theater in New York, watching another friend in a play. And he says, you know what, this theater actually would be a great spot for Nick's show. And he went and talked to the artistic director, Joe Battista, and told him about me. And he said he was very interested. And he said, call this guy up. He said he'll talk to you. Because it's hard to get space in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so much theater spaces, but they're all taken. And I got on the phone with Joe. And the first time we spoke, we were on the phone for 2 hours.
Wow,
we hit it off. He loved the whole concept of my show, and that's it. I started like a little GoFundMe. I raised a couple of bucks to help me rent the theater.
Get there.
Get there, and I'm using a lot of my own money, and that's how it came to be.
So what does this opportunity mean for you? What does it mean for you?
Well, I'm doing 10 performances this January 17th, and to me, it's a major. If nothing ever came out of it, it's just to me, it's such an accomplishment to be performing this play that's so personal to me, and to perform it in New York City. And like I was saying earlier, last summer Dave Permit shows up in Cranston. Dave Permit is like a huge movie producer who was in town doing a movie, and he just showed up. I had no idea he was coming, and he talked to me afterwards and told me how much he liked it. And I'm like thinking in my head, if this guy found me in this little theater in Cranston, who's gonna find me in New York? You know, and maybe bring this little project to the next level. So.
Are you excited? Are you nervous?
I'm. Everybody always asks every day, like, are you nervous? It's like it's too soon. It's still like 4 more months, so maybe I will be end of December. I don't know, but I'm pretty like a calm guy, so I kind of hold it in.
You seem like a calm guy.
Yeah.
Well, it's really exciting. It's really encouraging to always hear stories of people doing great things in Rhode Island. So we were glad we got a chance to chat with you. If people want to see you in New York, they can. The shows start in January, but in the meantime, you're still playing here in Rhode Island.
That's right. I'm still doing. My next show is September 29th at the Courthouse Center for the Arts. It's in West Kingston, right down the street from URI. It's a great little place. Well, actually, it's not that little. It's a big place, and. That's the 29th, and then the week after that is Columbus weekend. I'm back at Theater 82 for that Friday and Saturday of Columbus weekend, and then I'm back the first Friday and Saturday of November, and that's it. Those are the last 5 shows I'm doing before New York City.
And then hunker down, a little practice.
Yeah. So,
and get ready.
And to let you know that it started as a 50-minute show, and then it grew to a 70-minute, and now actually it's 80 minutes.
Wow.
It's an 80-minute show. And it's the one that I really put together and tightened and, and put it all the way I want it for New York.
I feel like, too, as a one-man show, if you ever mess up, no one would know the difference,
right?
No, you're the only one out there.
And my guy, because I have a slideshow during my slide guy would know.
He would know, but he won't tell anyone.
He's like,
right?
because sometimes I'll say something before another piece, and he's like, oh man,
like,
I'm just trying to keep up with you. And then most nights he's like, I can't believe you got like word for word, you hit every point. So
you're like, at this rate,
it's a 27-page script. And I don't even know how to remember it all. You
just get into it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your story with us. You can check them out.
And they can go to my site too. It's the LastSicilian.com, and that's where you can find all the scheduled shows.
Perfect.
Even the ones for New York.
And we'll put a link to it on our website as well.
Thank you so
you can
much.
check that out. So Nick Albanese with the Last Sicilian.